A plane crashes just moments after takeoff in northwestern India. 242 people on board, including one Canadian.
Tonight, what we're learning about the Air India flight and the sole passenger who miraculously survived. Good evening. We want to warn you, images of the crash are disturbing. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner had just taken off, bound for London, when seconds into the flight, it crashed in a residential neighborhood.
There was one Canadian on board, identified as a dentist from Toronto. You'll hear from a heartbroken family friend in moments. But first, the latest on what we're learning about the crash and the sole survivor. CTV's John Venavali Rao reports.
Video shows the plane eerily descending just seconds after takeoff, dropping into a residential area, and then a moment of pure horror. A huge fireball sending black smoke billowing into the sky. Rescuers rushing to the site where the Air India jet slammed into a building, used as a hostel for doctors and medical students. So far, officials recovering the remains of more than 200 people, with it still unclear how many on the ground were killed.
Very tragic and very, very horrific. And even till now, I have to say I'm in a state of shock.
The jet was an 11-year-old Boeing 787 Dreamliner, seen here as it raced down the runway, headed on a flight from Ahmedabad, India, to London, England. Moments after being airborne, this aviation official says the pilots issued an emergency call.
It would appear in the video, from my perspective anyway, that neither engine was developing power. So the aircraft was kind of gliding.
Loaded with fuel ahead of a long flight, the plane exploded on impact. On board, 242 passengers and crew, including Indian, British, and Portuguese citizens, and Nirali Patel, a Canadian mother from Toronto. Incredibly, a single passenger managed to survive. Reportedly, this man, a British national who told a news outlet he heard a loud noise before the crash. Investigators will now want to retrieve the so-called black boxes, usually kept in the tail and seen still intact. Prime Minister Carney says Canadian transport officials have been in close contact with their counterparts as British and American investigators head to India to help determine the cause of the crash. John Venavali Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
And we're learning more about the sole Canadian on board, Dr. Nirali Patel, a mother and dentist who lived in Toronto. CTV's Sean Leithong has been speaking to people who knew her, and he joins us now with that side of the story. Sean.
Well, Michelle, Nirali Patel worked at the dentist's office. You can see behind me, her home was just a few kilometers away in Etobicoke. She was building a life here with her young family before she took that trip to India, never to return. The lone Canadian killed in the Air India crash is Dr. Nirali Patel, a 32-year-old dentist from Etobicoke. She was a wife and a mother, her young family grieving her loss.
It's absolutely shocking. There's no words in this grievance.
Don Patel is a community leader and knows the family. He says Nirali had been on a quick social trip and was heading home.
Visiting to India just for a few days before, just 4 or 5 days before, and now she was coming back. And we heard this tragic thing happen as soon as we wake up.
According to neighbors near her Etobicoke home, Nirali had lived in the area for a few years along with her husband and young son. Don Patel says when news of the crash came, the phone started ringing.
We heard that there is a one Canadian in there, then the list came out, and then the family started calling, and I got a call also earlier in the morning that we have Nirali on that plane is confirmed.
She partially owned a Mississauga dental practice along with her husband, having received her degree in India back in 2016. According to the Royal College of Dental Surgeons, Nirali was licensed to practice in Canada in 2019. According to Patel, Nirali's parents, brother, and sister-in-law all live in Brampton.
I spoke to brother very briefly this morning while we were trying to help and arrange their travel arrangement going back.
He says the family don't wish to speak. Her husband, son, parents, and brother-in-law are all together.
And they are all on their way. Right now, as we speak, all 5 people are at the airport flying to India.
With the heartbreaking job of going to the site of the crash. Now, I spoke to an employee of the dental practice earlier today, and he expressed his immense grief, saying that they didn't want to speak. Now, we do know that Premier Doug Ford and Peel Police Chief Nishan Duriyapa had also expressed their extreme sorrow at knowing somebody from the community had died in this terrible accident. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Also tonight, outcry over a beloved principal's transfer to a new school 1 year before retirement. Students walk out in Rosedale protesting the board's move. But first, we turn to extreme efforts to stop a group of suspected car thieves in Vaughan this morning.
Police have charged a tenant of the home with firing a gun to try and stop them. CTV's John Musselman joins us live from the neighborhood near Pine Valley Drive and Teston Road with the details. John.
Well, Nathan, it happened in the neighborhood right behind me here. Police say 4 suspects have been arrested, but the resident in the home did fire a weapon, and he's also been charged. Police say at least 5 suspects approached this Vaughan area home around 4 a.m. and attempted to steal a white Lamborghini parked in the driveway. But the alleged theft was interrupted by the tenant who lives in the home. Investigators say he fired a gun at the thieves. No one was hit. But in these photographs obtained by CTV News, the rear window of a second car was blown out. Police believe the suspects arrived at the home in the black car, which had been stolen. Investigators say a 35-year-old man who lives in the home has been charged with weapons offenses.
Using a firearm in a residential neighborhood is incredibly dangerous. It's very fortunate in this case that nobody was hurt, but we always are saying immediately call 911, don't put yourself in harm's way, and prioritize your personal safety. In this case, again, it turns out that nobody was injured, which is fantastic, but this could have been a very different outcome.
3 adults and 1 youth have also been arrested in the attempted car theft. A 5th suspect is outstanding. This happened in a neighborhood of new homes near Teston Road and Pine Valley Drive. Neighbors say it's frightening. This woman, a mother of 3 children, lives right next door.
So many times, like I'm alone in the house, and I have 3 older, like my twin. They are twins. They're 4 years old, and my other daughter 5. I'm like scared sometimes because we don't know. Like so many times, police came. It's not just the first time.
You just got to take better precautions, like as a as a neighborhood, just to like where you putting your stuff, what you're showcasing out there. You can't just like put everything out there hoping that, people aren't just gonna like leave it alone and stuff, because at the end of the day, people are trying to get what they're trying to get.
Police say a long gun was used by the resident in the home. When the 911 call came in, gunshots could be heard in the background, police say. The thieves did not attempt to enter the home, but they were on the driveway.
Defending yourself is entirely based on what's proportional and what's reasonable. In a case like this, it has been determined that a firearm was not the appropriate one. Now, these charges, obviously, we have laid for discharging the firearm as well as for possession of weapons for a dangerous purpose, but proportionality and reasonability is entirely determined by the courts. Every case is distinct and different, and the biggest thing we want to hammer home is that there's always a very considerable danger to other people that are around.
The homeowner rents out the home. He spoke to CTV News at the scene, saying he has no information about the tenant who lives there. And Peel police still have a car posted out front of the home. The Lamborghini remains in the driveway. Police at this point are still trying to determine whether the suspects actually had weapons. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Just ahead, a big concert on tap tonight drawing heightened interest. Kendrick Lamar in the 6 for the first time since he and Toronto's own Drake started feuding.
But first, let's check in on the evening conditions, whether you're heading to a concert or doing the edge walk. Look at these folks leaning back. Boy, are they brave. And let's move back with our chopper just to give you a sense of how high up they are. And talk about gorgeous conditions to do this. One of the great attractions in our fair city, the sun is shining. It is now warm. The sky is all cleared up. Lindsay Morrison is here. Wow, I've done that. That's given me heart palpitations because it was terrifying.
I knew you had done that before, Michelle. I've never done it, so that's on my list. Maybe this summer in the city of Toronto. And today, yes, a perfect day to enjoy that. What a turnaround from this morning when we had some cloud cover and some showers. We made it to a high of 25 degrees. It's still 24 in Mississauga right now and 25 at the Toronto Islands. Loads of sunshine as well. We've seen an increase in cloud cover, though, London over toward Niagara Falls. Want to point out the winds. They're coming from a northwesterly direction, and that's going to usher in a colder air mass starting for overnight tonight, and then we'll feel it through tomorrow. We're going to talk about that and your weekend forecast coming up. For now, Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Breaking news to share with you this evening from Toronto Police. They say a man wanted in an international parental abduction investigation has now been arrested. You might remember this story. Last month, 3-year-old Valentino returned to Canada with his mother, Camila. His father, 48-year-old Kapil Sunak, is accused of taking him to India in contravention of a court order. Police say arrangements were made for Sunak to return here as well. He was taken into custody at Pearson Airport on Tuesday on an abduction charge.
Well, we're also live over Rogers Centre tonight, where a high-profile feud involving 2 big-name rappers is taking center stage.
Kendrick Lamar is performing in our city. He's had a long-standing beef with Toronto's own Drake, and tonight's show garnering plenty of attention from fans of both of these popular artists. Let's get to CTV's Mike Walker, who joins us live now with more outside Rogers Centre. Mike.
Well, Michelle, Nathan, fans have started filing into the Rogers Centre, and there's a lot of buzz about tonight's concert, given the ongoing feud between the 2 biggest hip-hop artists. And we've been speaking with fans who enjoy both Drake and Kendrick Lamar's music, and many tell us that tonight's concert is simply all about the music. Kendrick Lamar on the video board outside Rogers Centre, where the Grammy Award-winning hip-hop artist is performing for the first time amid an ongoing and highly publicized feud with Toronto's Drake.
I know he's going to put on a show, and I am extremely hyped, especially to see him in my home city.
The years-long feud that has seen both artists release diss tracks escalated a year ago. Fans anticipating it will be amplified tonight.
He'll do the diss tracks 100%. But I don't expect anything too crazy from tonight.
Oh, he's definitely going to do a lot of diss tracks. That beef is like the greatest thing, and like lyrically speaking, like Kendrick beat him.
Expect a great show. I'm expecting 110%, especially because of just the given location and everything that's happened.
Drake is suing Universal Music, which represents both artists, for defamation for publishing and promoting Lamar's hit song, Not Like Us.
They not like us. They not like us.
In court documents, Drake claims the song wrongly accused him of being a pedophile and jeopardized his safety. Shortly after the track's release, a security guard was shot and injured outside Drake's Bridle Path mansion, but police have not made any connections. But fans of both artists attending tonight's concert say this is not about the beef.
I'm a fan of good music, not the beef, the size or whatever. I'm just here for great music.
They're both musicians. They both tour, and this is just a stop on his tour. And it just happened to be where Drake is from.
While Lamar is performing alongside SZA inside the Rogers Centre, outside Drake fans are planning a gathering for an event dubbed OVO Takeover. A social media post indicates Drake's music will be blasted as a show of support.
This is a way of just showing that no matter what, whether you like Drake or don't like Drake, this is Drake country.
Music journalist Rudy Blair says despite the beef, Lamar's Grand National Tour is one of the biggest right now.
When you think about it a year ago, what a feud. But really what came out of it, though, was a couple of things. Number one, Kendrick ended up with 5 Grammy Awards. Song and Record of the Year, which was huge. He played the halftime show for the Super Bowl. That really set him apart from a lot of other artists.
Now, there still are some tickets available for tonight's concert. As for that gathering of Drake fans, that's expected to happen soon outside Gate 5 here. Organizers say this won't be a protest, just a peaceful way of showing support for Drake. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Well, a man's in hospital after he was stabbed early this morning on a busy downtown street. Emergency crews responded to the scene near Portland and King just before 2 a.m. Paramedics say the 20-year-old's injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. Police confirm the man was stabbed during a reported altercation. A 31-year-old man was arrested at the scene.
Fire crews responded to an early morning blaze at an apartment building in Etobicoke. The flames broke out at the low-rise on Kinsdale Boulevard near Park Lawn and Barry Road around 1 a.m. Paramedics say 5 patients, including 3 children, were transported to hospital with minor injuries.
The driver of a tractor-trailer is charged in a crash that caused major disruptions on the 400 in Barrie this morning. Police say the driver crashed into a median around 6:30 a.m., with another 9 vehicles becoming involved in the collision. 3 people were taken to hospital, though their injuries are not considered serious. OPP have charged the 35-year-old driver of the truck with careless driving.
Well, it wasn't your average day at one Toronto high school. Hundreds of students walked out of class, a show of solidarity for their popular principal.
He's also Ontario's longest-serving principal, and with just 1 year left until retirement, He's facing a transfer to another school. CTV's Allison Hurst reports.
Hundreds of students walk out of Rosedale Heights School for the Arts, protesting the sudden transfer announcement of their beloved principal, Barry Sketchley.
It was kind of disgusting, considering he's been here 33 years.
Sketchley, who's in his 80s and plans to work just one more year, transformed what was a vocational school where students learned trades into one for the arts, which were on display during this demonstration.
Being able to experiment with art for free is not something you find anywhere. And he has made such a great community.
The superintendent made the announcement in a letter Monday, saying in part, Mr. Sketchley will always be a part of the RHSA community, and I sincerely thank him for his outstanding service to students. Please join me in wishing him well at his new school.
It just shows how much he means to the whole student body.
He has seriously fought to keep up the same amount of funding to the arts programs.
He's in the door every single day greeting kids. Have you ever seen any other principal interact with their students that much?
Within days of finding out, students mobilized, launching a petition online and sharing the news on social media that even Canadian actress Amrit Kaur shared on her Instagram. Parents came to support their kids too.
Beautiful. I've had two daughters at this school and he's done a great job.
To come out, in the middle of their finals, it's unbelievable.
Katrina Matheson, who's on the school council, says they're in communication with the TDSB.
I don't know if the door is open for changes, but that's our hope.
Teacher Marianne Marsh has worked alongside Sketchley for 30 years.
He's created a culture of kindness, and that is very unique. They should allow this man some dignity and grace and to exit his legacy and his career in a way that celebrates him.
Sketchley declined an interview but expressed his love for his students.
Mr. Sketchley for me is just such a light in my life.
The TDSB says principal placements and transfers are an operational decision by staff. The transfer is scheduled to take effect July 1st. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
Unionized workers at Canada Post have been in a legal strike position for nearly 3 weeks now as contract talks stall.
The federal government says it's now stepping in to force a vote on the Crown Corporation's latest offer. CTV's Rachel Aiello has the details.
After 18 months of negotiations, a strike, and a lockout, the federal government has decided it's in the public interest to try and end a protracted labor dispute. Today, Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu announced she'd be forcing a vote on Canada Post's final offers to its unionized employees. With 55,000 postal workers involved, this vote is set to be one of the biggest votes of its kind in Canadian history. Canada Post, who asked for the vote, is welcoming workers being able to have their say.
We're saying, look, we're trying to start making changes to fix Canada Post and ensure that it's secure for the people that work there and the people that depend on it. And that's important for employees to have a voice in that.
The Postal Workers Union called the minister's decision an attack on their right to represent their members.
We're disappointed and a bit pissed off that the minister again is tipping the scale of justice towards the employer. I can tell you I get one vote and my vote will be a no vote.
A sign of how at odds the two sides remain is how they view what it would mean if workers vote yes.
Any labor issues in that are in the rearview mirror, and then we go back to trying to rebuild our business. If the members vote yes, Canada Post will basically be gutting our collective agreement.
The Canada Industrial Relations Board is being directed to conduct the vote as soon as possible, though both sides anticipate it could take a few weeks to organize. And if workers vote no, then it's back to the bargaining table. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Provincial police in Quebec have announced the arrest of the alleged head of the Montreal Mafia in what's being described as a major operation.
If you do murders, we'll find you. If you do fraud, we'll work on you. Doesn't matter. We'll continue to put that pressure on them.
56-year-old Leonardo Rizzuto was the youngest son of the late reputed mafia boss Vito Rizzuto. He was among 11 people arrested in an operation dubbed Project Alliance. The suspects are said to be members of the Italian mafia, Hells Angels, and street gangs with alleged links to several murders in Montreal and around Quebec.
As several provinces face growing wildfire emergencies, the federal government says it's bracing for an elevated risk in western and northern Canada as the season continues.
While increased rainfall in the latter half of June could reduce the risk of new fires igniting, higher High fire risk conditions are expected to return in July and likely persist through August, as Canada is forecast to experience drought-like conditions and above normal temperatures.
Today, Ottawa announced an investment of approximately $100 million through the Fire Smart program, as well as the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre. The money will go towards wildfire prevention and mitigation efforts.
The Crown is looking to wrap up its case in the sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players who've all pleaded not guilty. Here's CTV's Heather Wright on what was said in court today and what happens next.
The Crown says EM was in over her head. Naked in a hotel room with a bunch of hockey players, the complainant in this case initially tried to resist in passive ways, according to the Crown, like refusing to get on the ground because it was dirty. But when a player put a sheet down, EM then went along with what she thinks was expected. Some people will fight or resist, some people will flee, some people will appease. These are normal and predictable responses. Crown Attorney Megan Cunningham is trying to counter the narrative put forward by the defense that EM was a willing and active participant in the sexual activity that took place nearly 7 years ago, and that she changed her story over the years to avoid embarrassment for her actions and to bolster her civil case against Hockey Canada. In their closing submissions, the defense accused EM of being difficult and having an agenda in her testimony, something the Crown pushed back on today. If EM had any agenda while testifying, it was to ensure she was not misunderstood. Megan Cunningham went further, saying the way the defense has characterized the complainant is a key reason why many alleged victims don't come forward. If she's too emotional, she's combative. If she's not emotional enough, she's rehearsed. If she uses the same language over and over, it's contrived. If she uses different language, she's inconsistent. The Crown also accused the players of cooking up the story that it was the complainant asking for sex, not them. Cunningham points to testimony from players Boris Kachuk and Trevor Radish, who both said the complainant was in bed when they arrived to the room and didn't offer or ask for sexual activity. Neither Kachuk nor Radish face any charges.
There has been a lot of back and forth today between the Crown and the judge often interjecting and pushing back on some of the comments made by the Crown. Closing submissions will continue tomorrow. Heather Wright, CTV News, London, Ontario.
The Los Angeles Police Department says more than 80 people were arrested in protests and clashes last night, denouncing recent immigration raids.
The Trump administration has called in the National Guard and Marines to clamp down on the unrest. And as demonstrations pop up in other cities, officials say they may take similar steps elsewhere.
The people across this country are so grateful. They are so grateful for the work that is being done here in Los Angeles. They are setting an example for what is happening across the country in other cities and putting together a model and a blueprint for how we can continue to work to make every single community great again and safe again for our kids and for our grandkids far into the future.
Secretary Noem's press conference was interrupted by U.S. Senator Alex Padilla. The California representative was handcuffed and removed from the room. Padilla's office says he was not detained. The Department of Homeland Security claimed the Secret Service believed he was an attacker. Democratic governors, meanwhile, are expressing shock at the Trump administration's use of troops in American streets.
As we speak, an American city has been militarized over the objections of their governor. At the outset, I just want to say that this is a flagrant abuse of power and nothing short of an assault on our American values.
We also respect and expect this administration to respect the traditions and legal precedent that dictate how and when our National Guard and military are deployed.
A court hearing is taking place at the request of California Governor Gavin Newsom, looking to block the federal use of the National Guard and Marine troops to help with immigration raids in L.A. The Trump administration called the lawsuit a crass political stunt endangering American lives.
Aviation authorities are investigating after a passenger plane rolled off the runway at Boston's International Airport today. Officials say the JetBlue Airbus A220 arrived from Chicago O'Hare shortly before noon. It then went into the grass while turning off the runway. No injuries were reported and passengers were transported to the terminal by bus. The airline says they'll work closely with investigators to figure out what went wrong. A familiar sight from last year's Summer Olympics is set to return to the skies of Paris.
Instead of a traditional cauldron on the ground, the Summer Games featured a floating structure held up by a helium-powered hot air balloon. It was the first Olympic cauldron powered without fossil fuels and is set to reappear next week as the Paris Cauldron. French officials say it will light up the sky every summer night until the 2028 LA Games.
We're gearing up for a major sporting event set to take to the field right here in Toronto.
The FIFA World Cup is just 1 year away, and we're live over Nathan Phillips Square, where the countdown is officially underway. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live with the details. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. There is an air celebration here at Nathan Phillips Square with soccer fans starting to pack the square at around 4 p.m. Of course, the moment they were all waiting for happened just a couple of minutes ago. Take a look. And that was the unveiling of the one-year countdown clock to FIFA World Cup 2026. In fact, June 12th next year will be the very first time Team Canada will ever play a World Cup match on Canadian soil, so a lot of anticipation about that. This year, 3 countries are hosting the World Cup: Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. Toronto and Vancouver are the host cities in this country, with games scheduled here between June 12th and mid-July. A lot of anticipation. Take a look at what fans had to say today. How excited are you that Toronto's going to be hosting some World Cup games?
Oh yeah, it's very exciting. It's wonderful. Thank you, Canada, for hosting this special event. I'm very happy. Thank you, Canada. Woo!
Oh, very exciting, especially because both teams are in Ecuador and Canada. So
Ecuador, Canada, Ecuador, Canada, Ecuador, Canada, Ecuador, Canada.
So you can see people are very excited. They are very proud. Canadians also, soccer fans in general. Of course, the mayor, in fact, declared today the first ever soccer day to recognize Canadians' passions for the game. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to you, Michelle.
Happy Soccer Day, Janice. Thank you. And coming up, from the front lines of conflict to Canada's Walk of Fame, a Toronto doctor is honored for life-changing humanitarianism. Her story still ahead.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, do you use ride-sharing services? If you do, you now have some new options when you need to book a trip. Along with Uber and Lyft, there are now 2 new apps you can use. One is from Europe, and the other is based in Toronto. I'll have my reports. That's just ahead.
So it's going to feel a little fresh out there tomorrow. 18 is our forecast high in Toronto. Compare that to our seasonal average, which is 24. Now, there is a chance of wet weather tomorrow, but it's mainly going to be for portions of cottage country. We should stay dry here in the GTA, and overall, your weekend forecast has improved. We'll take you through Saturday and Father's Day Sunday coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Many of us have embraced using rideshare apps, and the Canadian rideshare market is expected to grow to more than 10 million users over the next 5 years.
Uber and Lyft are the 2 main apps used across Canada, but here in Toronto, you now have 2 other options to choose from. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. A popular ride-sharing app from Europe is now available in the GTA, although with a different name. You can also catch a ride with a homegrown Toronto company. So the next time you need to take a trip, you can catch a ride with Hop or Hover. Uber was the original ride-sharing service and remains the world's largest, operating in 70 countries. Lyft is in second place. Both companies are American, but now in Toronto there are 2 new options. Hop by Bolt from Europe is now available here.
We have recently launched Hop here in Canada, specifically within the Greater Toronto area.
The company operates in 50 countries worldwide and hopes to give customers another choice when they need to hail a ride.
We're really excited to bring our ride-sharing services to the GTA to serve new riders, new drivers, and promote competition within this marketplace.
Another new entry into the GTA ride-sharing space is Hover. It's a Canadian, Toronto-based business.
It's been an incredible response from both the driver and the rider community.
Hover is a membership-based rideshare service where drivers pay a monthly fee and then keep 100% of the fare. The company says it's looking forward to growing its service.
The more, licensed, insured platforms that are in the space doing it properly, the better the outcome will be for both the riders and the drivers.
With so many ride-sharing apps, does it really matter which one you pick? We wanted to see how much it would cost to go from the Scarborough Town Centre to Union Station at 1 o'clock on a weekday afternoon. In this example, all the drivers would arrive within 1 to 2 minutes, and Uber, Hop, and Hover were all about the same price at just over $35. Lyft was about $3 cheaper. Prices could differ in other examples depending on demand, traffic conditions, and other factors.
The 4 apps are all different in how they engage their riders and then pay their drivers.
A group that represents rideshare drivers says competition in the rideshare space is good for everyone.
Because the more options you have, the less we're all going to be subject to the duopoly that was Uber and Lyft.
Both Hop and Hover say they hope to expand their services across Canada in the future. And the increased competition could lead to lower prices for riders, but the group representing drivers says it's hoping it will lead to better pay for those behind the wheel and give them an option to switch services if they can make more money. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, things are looking good tonight if you have plans, but we're in for a bit of a dip tomorrow.
Temperature-wise, yes, but I do like the fact that there's a lot of sun for
Yes.
the rest of this week.
And it wasn't looking that way even yesterday. For Saturday, for example, it looked like a cloudy, maybe unsettled day. So improvements have happened when it comes to your weekend forecast. It is going to be a little cool tomorrow. At the risk of sounding dramatic, we're talking teen temperatures as opposed to highs in the 20s. Today, we had a lovely day with a high in the mid-20s. This is what it looked like not too long ago. A nice day to be by the water. Not a big difference temperature-wise today for lakeside communities compared to areas further inland because we had northerly winds and not overly strong at that. Hey, city pools are going to be opening soon in the GTA and specifically the city of Toronto. Nice blue sky. The last thing I want to mention about this is that air quality was pretty good today. Notice how we don't have as much haze as we've had at times, especially over the last week, but we're not in the clear entirely. I do anticipate that some of that wildfire smoke will make its way back into our neck of the woods in the coming weeks. Temperature-wise right now, it is still 24 degrees here in Toronto, 21 in the Windsor area, 19 in Ottawa. You'll find teen temperatures at this hour for central Ontario, and then even cooler the further north you go. Record to beat today was 33 degrees. Of course, that did not happen. Toronto downtown, though, the provincial hot spot, so we can celebrate that for today. Tonight, the forecast low is about 12 degrees. That's on the cool side of seasonal. Average temperature for a low at this time of year is 14. But look at this, Owen Sound, Parry Sound, Peterborough, single-digit lows through the night tonight, and only 5 degrees for you in Bancroft. Waking up tomorrow morning, we should have some sun, but then the cloud cover is going to increase as the day goes on. Some communities are going to make it to about that 20-degree threshold, but I do think that many of us are going to be hanging out in the upper teens. Again, maybe 18, 19 degrees here at Pearson Airport is what we're anticipating. There's the increase in cloud cover that we are already seeing across southwest Ontario from about Bayfield over toward Niagara Falls, just inching into Burlington now. But we're watching a disturbance that could bring some areas a little bit of wet weather for tomorrow. Let me show you the forecast radar. It's not looking like a sure thing at this point, but I do think that starting tomorrow morning, areas to the east of Georgian Bay, that continues midway through the day. And then Hamilton over toward Niagara, you have a slightly higher chance of seeing some passing showers. Should stay dry in the city of Toronto. We're going to keep an eye on things, but look at this, some beautiful clearing as we make our way into Saturday. So while Saturday is still a little bit cool, we can expect a mix of sun and cloud. Father's Day looks great. 23 for the high. And then if you're missing the heat already, look through the middle part of next week. Not only are we talking temperatures back in the mid-20s, but humidex values into the 30s. That's the weather for now. Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Also tonight, navigating fatherhood with a disability. A local dad imparting lessons he's learned along the way, showing his daughter resilience runs in the family.
We're approaching Father's Day weekend, a time to celebrate the dads in our lives.
It's a job that comes with many joys and challenges as well, especially if you live with physical disabilities, and your child does too. CTV's health reporter, Pauline Chan, has this story.
I think I'll go with vanilla.
Zach Priest's connection with Holland Bloorview began as a toddler with cerebral palsy.
I was a client by 3. I have volunteered here. I have, as a client done many different programs here. I've worked here in many different roles. And now I'm a parent of a client here as well.
And Holland Bloorview is where Zach met Amelia's future mom during a program to help young people develop independent skills.
So Amelia and her mom have the same condition, which is osteogenesis imperfecta.
It's a painful form of fragile bone disease, which has put Amelia in hospital several times. Zach says having 2 parents with disabilities can be challenging.
What it really came down to was, who has more experience, dealing with growing up with a disability than 2 parents who have disabilities.
He admits diaper duty just wasn't his thing when Amelia was a baby, but he is every bit the guide, protector, entertainer, and more that any parent should be.
This is like a new ice cream shop to me. I just made it.
And Amelia is thriving. She even learned to read at 1.5. Holland Bloorview continues to offer support for education, finances, and rehab. This year, they're holding a special Father's Day workshop on June 19th.
It's Lego and robotics, and it's for everyone who identifies with Father's Day, so it's not gender specific.
As for Father's Day plans for Zach himself,
I think it's confidential information, but it probably involves ice cream.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
New figures from Public Health Ontario show the ongoing measles outbreak may be slowing down, but it hasn't stopped. Officials reported 74 new confirmed or probable infections, continuing a slight downward trend in recent weeks, but an uptick in Northern Ontario. The increase brings the total number of people who have fallen ill to 2,083 since October, with 144 needing to be hospitalized. One premature infant infected with measles has also died. Health experts have blamed the spread on ongoing exposures among people who have not been immunized. Dr. Samantha Nutt has been a doctor at Women's College Hospital for a quarter century, but it is her other job which has landed her a spot on Canada's Walk of Fame.
CTV's Andrea Kay spoke to the Walk's 2025 recipient of the Humanitarian Award.
Right out of medical school, Dr. Samantha Nutt started working for UNICEF in war-ravaged Somalia. Seeing how long it takes for communities to recover from conflict changed her life, and she was inspired to do more and created War Child Canada in 1999. On Saturday, her work will be recognized by Canada's Walk of Fame with a Humanitarian Award.
It's a tremendous honor, but it also is with a bit of a heavy heart for me too, because not only am I only one piece of the organization, I've lost far too many good friends of mine in the course of doing humanitarian work who have died in war zones. I'm reflecting a lot on that in the days leading up to Saturday, to Walk of Fame, and why am I here to receive this honor and they're not? I don't know the answer to that question, but I know that I want to continue to honor that legacy and continue to pursue this really important work that we're involved in.
The program has now expanded to War Child USA.
The demand for our programs has just ballooned in recent years. We have thousands of people throughout the world working for War Child Canada who come from war-torn countries. For me, that's been very, very inspiring to witness.
It's dangerous work which takes her away from her patients here in Toronto.
Many of them are concerned about that. They'll remind me whenever I'm heading into Yemen or Afghanistan or somewhere else, South Sudan, that it is very hard to get a doctor in Ontario. They obviously say it very lovingly.
The payoff is how War Child can affect a person's life. For example, on a recent trip to a refugee camp in Darfur, Sudan, a young woman came running up to their vehicle.
She says, I know War Child Canada. I was in your youth programming in Janina in Darfur, and I had gone through your catch-up learning, and then I went to school, and I went on to medical school. And when she stood there, she looked at our entire team and she said, I knew you would not forget us. I knew you would come. It inspires me every single day.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
Also tonight, the Edmonton Oilers looking to bounce back. Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final goes tonight in Panther territory. We've got a preview after the break.
would appear in the video, from my perspective anyway, that neither engine was developing power.
Updating our top stories, the search for answers is underway in northwestern India after a passenger plane came crashing down in a residential area. The Air India flight was headed for London with more than 240 people on board, including 32-year-old Dr. Nirali Patel from Etobicoke. One survivor was found and taken to hospital.
The biggest thing we want to hammer home is that there's always a very considerable danger to other people that are around.
York Regional Police have charged a 35-year-old Vaughan man who they say fired a gun at suspected car thieves. This happened around 4 a.m. near Major Mackenzie and Highway 400. Nobody was hit, but police laid weapons charges against the resident. 3 adults and a youth were arrested in the attempted car theft. A 5th suspect is outstanding.
I'm a fan of good music, not the beef, the size, or whatever. I'm just here for a great music.
And it's a big night at Rogers Center as Kendrick Lamar takes the stage alongside SZA. This marks the first time the Grammy winner is performing in Drake's hometown after their high-profile feud escalated last year. Some Drake fans plan to hold their own gathering tonight, while others say they're fans of everyone involved and they're just there to enjoy the music.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video or breaking news, let us know.
On the markets, the Canadian dollar is up to $73.50. Our fix on Western Canadian Select Oil is up almost $3 to $57.62. And the TSX is up 91 points, hitting another record close, ending the day at 26,615.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Edmonton Oilers are looking to turn the page in Florida tonight in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. The Oilers have had a few days to regroup after falling to the Panthers 6-1 in Game 3. Goalie Stuart Skinner was pulled from the game after the 5th goal, but it's not known if he'll be back in net tonight. Edmonton's coach signaling lineup changes are in store.
We will have likely a lineup change. We haven't confirmed that. We haven't discussed that with our players yet, but there are some things that we've been thinking about.
Something to watch for as the series continues. Both Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are averaging more than 1.5 points per game following a loss in the playoffs. Tonight's game starts at 8 with Game 5 in Edmonton on Saturday.
Canadian swimming sensation Summer McIntosh is on a winning streak, securing yet another world record time at national trials.
That world record mark, it stands at a 4:24.38. She has 10 meters to go, and she is reaching hard to the wall. McIntosh to the finish, and it is. She destroys it again.
The 18-year-old has now set 3 world records this week at the Bell Canadian Swimming Trials in Victoria. Last night, the queen of the pool achieved that feat in the 400-meter medley. She's the first to break a world record in 3 individual events at one meet since Michael Phelps in 2008.
Also tonight, we'll take you to the Aga Khan Museum for a sneak peek at a brand new exhibition, award-winning Islamic art on display, color, movement, and an opportunity for creativity.
Tonight, a devastating plane crash and new questions about safety.
How can the quality process break down to that extent?
How the tragedy is putting more scrutiny on Boeing's record. That's later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special shout out to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
A new exhibit at the Aga Khan Museum is set to bring people into a world where beauty and light intertwine.
It opens this weekend, and today, CTV's Jessica Smith got a preview.
Contemporary, classical, and historical pieces of Islamic art.
And it celebrates 20 years of the Al-Burda Award of Islamic Art in the United Arab Emirates and the 10th anniversary of the Aga Khan Museum.
As the Sun Appears from Beyond is the latest exhibition at the Aga Khan Museum, with over 60 works from the Alberta Award collection.
Artworks from the Muslim work that were awarded the Al-Burda Award, from calligraphy to ornamentation, to typography, and even to poetry.
The exhibit also includes an interactive station that invites visitors to create their own masterpiece.
We have a station to explore the art of ornamentation, which invites you to pick up your own pen and create your own illuminations and explore the complexity of these beautiful designs.
Along with a digital collaboration with students from Toronto Metropolitan University, the mixed media exhibit has something for everyone.
As the Sun Appears from Beyond here at the Aga Khan Museum opens June 14th and runs through to February 15th of 2026. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
The sun is still very much appearing in the sky. It is a sunny evening. It's nice and warm, and we have more of this to come.
Yeah, it'll be a little cooler tomorrow. We're talking 18, maybe 19 degrees for a high, but let me show you the air quality health index for your Friday. This is an improvement, 2 or low risk. That's great news. Hey, Saturday we have the Argos home opener, and weather is looking great for that. You just might want maybe a jacket or a light sweater since we're going to be a little bit closer to the water for that. And here's your Father's Day forecast. I don't think we'll have any trouble with tea times. Nice looking weather, mix of sun and cloud and a high of 23. And then a reminder that we're going to heat up as we make our way into next week, close to 30 by about Wednesday. Michelle and Nathan.
Lots to look forward to. Thanks, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Todd Vanderhayden tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, thanks for watching and have a great night.